What is going on, guys? Stormcat back with another video, and in this one we are going to be talking about some mobile Terraria 1.3 news. Alright guys, so we just got the July State of the Game post here. We get one of these every month discussing what the different achievements they've come across when it comes to the different development processes of mobile, Switch, console, and PC. So if they reach like a milestone, and Switch obviously was launched and they posted about that, if they have some exciting news for mobile, they'll post it here, and so on and so forth. So for this video, we're going to go over the mobile section of the State of the Game for July. So I'm going to do separate videos on these other ones here, maybe not the Switch and console, just because there's not much to be said there, but there is lots of stuff here for PC and mobile. So first off, guys, we have this little screenshot here showing us different controls and the layouts of the buttons on mobile 1.3. As you know, if you've seen my other video, the 1.3 beta was actually released to a few hundred winners, I believe, and they actually can't do the Android beta anymore, so they can only test that internally, and for now they're only going to have iOS winners. So I believe for the people who had it on Android are going to be reselected for iOS users, which is unfortunate, but there were reasons for why they did that. So anyway, let's continue. We see a whole bunch of different options that they have on here for different controls and whatnot, and it says work in progress of control overlay and instructions page to help ease the learning curve on the new controls. Okay, so this is just a little image here that's supposed to make it a little easier to understand what the controls do. So this one, pretty obviously, it shows and hides the chat, and it will only pop up in multiplayer. This button here will open the map. This button here will show / hide this mini map here. And we have down here the Smart Interact, Auto Select, Movement Stick. We have the Quick Heal option here, the Quick Mana, and the Quick Buff. I love these buttons here. I think it's actually pretty cool that we have the Quick Heal, Quick Mana, and Quick Buff option. So you don't have to go through your inventory and sort it out and click it mid-fight. You can just click it right there next to where you're moving. And then we have the Open Inventory button down here, which I like, and the Aim and Use / Aim Only toggle. So this will use and aim whatever you're using here, and then you can switch it to Aim Only. So we have right here the grapple stick as an option, which is really cool. We have the aim stick, which is like your, looking left and right and whatnot. We have your mount button, the jump right here, the open settings menu. We have the combat targeting, which will lock on to enemies depending on, if you're fighting a boss or whatnot. You can click that and actually target the enemies so that you can stay locked onto it, so you don't have to worry about aiming quite as much. You can focus on getting out of the way of attacks. We have the zoom in and out for your world, like for your character. You can get closer and further away. And we also have the smart cursor toggle on and off. So if you want to actually mine with the regular cursor that they give you, you can toggle that on and off. So that's really cool. They're just giving us a quick overlay of what the different buttons actually do. I was pretty certain on many of these that they weren't going to be too hard, and they're pretty self-explanatory, but for those that aren't used to playing on mobile, this will definitely help you get a hold of the controls. Now, to continue with the rest of this post, it's actually going to list the Terraria Mobile 1.3 specifications, what your phone needs in order to have full functionality for Terraria 1.3. So let's continue with that. Hello everyone, what an eventful month it has been on the Terraria mobile front. We are so excited to be able to share online multiplayer in that live stream. What a fun time that was, huh? and we are really looking forward to sharing even more juicy information as we get closer and closer to launch. For this month, we wanted to dive into one of the most asked questions around mobile Terraria 1.3. Will it run on my device? Or as we know them, minimum/recommended specifications. Without further ado, let's launch into that. Alright, Terraria Mobile 1.3 specifications. I believe this is going to dive into Android and iOS, so depending on what device you have, there's going to be specifications for every single device out there. I believe pretty much everything that can already run Terraria now, it's going to work for, but maybe not everything. So, maybe some of the older phones are going to be left in Terraria 1.2 or whatever version that's in now. But newer phones, like the iPhone 8, the iPhone X and the XR, stuff like that, they will guaranteed be able to run this game. Alright. Below, you will find both recommended and minimum specification requirements for the upcoming Terraria Mobile 1.3 update. As long as your device is within the minimum specifications tier, then you will receive the update and the game will run for you. The team's logic in developing this update was to include as many devices as possible, while designing for an optimal and uncompromised experience on newer devices. This means that older devices may have to have some things turned off and may not be able to do everything that newer devices can. However, they still get a fully functional mobile 1.3 and one that we feel remains leaps and bounds over the current experience. So what they're saying is, if you have an older device, then you're going to be missing a few features, but regardless of those features, the game is still going to be so much better once this update launches. So don't worry if your phone cannot handle all of these features. Here are some important things to keep in mind. For devices below the recommended tier, you may experience performance issues when attempting to utilize some graphics settings, and especially when trying to generate and play larger worlds. The game will automatically detect what device you are playing on and place some settings at lower levels to improve performance. You may adjust these back in the settings menu, but please note that you do so at the risk of performance drops and or crashing of the capabilities of your device are overrun. If the capabilities of your device are overrun. So, what this is saying here is they did something actually really cool, and the game is going to auto-detect what you're playing on. If you're playing on an iPhone XR, it's going to automatically turn those performance settings all the way up. You're going to be able to generate large worlds super easy. Your graphics are going to be turned all the way up. And you're not going to have to worry about optimizing your different settings so that it can run fine on your phone. On the other hand, if you are using something much older, they're also going to place settings to lower levels in order for your phone to be able to run the game. So, you might not be able to run it at the best graphics possible, but your phone's still going to have the amount of power needed to run this 1.3 update. So they have settings implemented once you download the game so that your phone is going to be adjusted to the settings that it needs to run. So that's really cool that they actually preset those settings in there, and you don't have to go in there and play around with it yourself. They figured it out for us. After it says this logic will carry over to device-hosted multiplayer as well. Lower-end devices will not be able to host as many players as well as newer devices. There is no exact way to know what device can handle what, as we are supporting thousands of device configurations, so this is more of just something to keep in mind. Okay, so what this is saying is host a multiplayer session on the best device. If you have a few friends and somebody has an iPhone XR and somebody has like an iPhone 6 or something old like that, have the person with the XR run the multiplayer session, because they can host multiple players and you can join them no problem. But if the person with the iPhone 6 hosts it, you might have a lot of problems on both ends with the XR and the 6 just because it can't handle the multiplayer as well as something like the XR can. What we cannot provide is a list of supported devices because the number of devices that we are currently supporting with this is quite literally over 9,000. Okay, so that's a joke on Dragon Ball Z. If you don't know that meme, just look it up. So they can support a lot of devices, which is really cool. So we don't really have to worry about your device not making it in. You just have to worry about what settings you're on. So your device might not run it the best, but it should still be able to play Terraria 1.3. Amazon specifications are still to be determined, as we expect that platform to run a bit behind Android time-wise, as Amazon is an offshoot of the Android build. Don't worry, we don't expect that wait to be too long at all. Alright, so now that they've sort of gotten the general things out of the way, we have the actual technical specifications for iOS and Android. So let's get right on into it. Mobile 1.3 specifications / requirements by platform. So for iOS, it is recommended and required for use of playing on large worlds and for making full use of graphic settings, etc. The metal-enabled devices, A7 or newer chipset. I'm not sure which phones actually have that, but I'm sure you can easily Google it. iOS 8.0 Plus and 1.5 gigabytes of RAM. So I think something like the iPhone 7 and up could take full use of playing on large worlds and the graphic settings. So that's nothing to worry about. Yeah, right here, as you can see. Example devices that meet this criteria are the iPhone 6s, iPad Air 2, and iPad Mini 4 and newer. So if you have something like the iPhone 6s and up, you're going to be just fine. It's going to be smooth as butter, and you're not really going to have to go and play around with the graphic settings. You can just leave them how they are. Now, the minimum required is required to receive and play the 1.3 update, so not including large worlds and graphic settings, making full use of the actual graphic settings. This is the minimum required. So, again, it has the A7 or newer chipset right here, 8.0 for iOS as well, and then just 1 gigabyte of RAM. So, these are a few devices that are in that list: the iPhone 5s, the iPad Air 1, and iPad Mini 2. So you can pretty much play Terraria on any device nowadays as long as you have something like the 5s or newer, and that's a pretty old phone. So I'm sure people playing on an iPad or a phone have something newer than this already. But if you have the iPhone 5s, you can play. It's just going to be a little choppy, and the graphics aren't going to be fantastic. Alright, next guys, we have the Android requirements. So, I don't know too much about Android, so this might be a little weird for me to explain, but I'm going to do the best that I can. Recommended required for use of playing on large worlds and making full use of graphics settings. Again, we have Android 4.3 and up. OpenGLES 3.0, no idea what that means, and 1.5 gigabytes of RAM. So we're going to get into a list of devices that have these things. I'm not sure what GLES 3.0 is, but let's get into a list of devices that, are available to make use of all of the best graphics settings and playing on large worlds. We have the Google Pixel, the Huawei Mate 10 Lite, no idea how to pronounce that, LG K20, Motorola Moto, OnePlus 5, Samsung Galaxy Note 8, Galaxy S7, Samsung Galaxy Tab S4, and the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4. I have no idea. I haven't heard of any of these devices here. I'm not a big Android person though, so I have heard of the Google Pixel. That's relatively new. The Samsung Galaxy S7 is actually what I had. before my iPhone, so I know that a lot of Android devices aren't actually going to be supporting Terraria, but on the other hand, a lot of them are. So just keep that in mind whenever you either sign up for the Terraria beta or if you buy Terraria. Make sure that your device can run it, because not all Android devices will. Again, the minimum requirement is the exact same except 1 GB of RAM, which was the same for iOS. And some of these phones are the Asus Nexus 7, the Lenovo Tab 10, Samsung Galaxy Note 3, Galaxy S5, and Galaxy Tab A. So these are actually pretty old devices. The S5 came out a few years before the phone I had a few years ago. So if you even have something close to relatively new, you're definitely going to be able to run this game in the Samsung line anyway. I don't know what Android devices won't be supported, but I'm sure we'll get more information on that once Mobile 1.3 actually releases. So those are the actual specifications for Android and iOS. We got a little bit of news on what it's going to be like for the different graphics settings and optimization. Those are the full Terraria Mobile 1.3 specifications. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Definitely drop a like on the video. If this helped you out in any way, gave you some information, and made it a little bit clearer on whether or not your device is going to be supported, hit that subscribe button if you do want to see more Terraria Mobile 1.3 videos in the future, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Definitely check out one of my other videos on screen. On the right is one YouTube suggested you, and on the left is my most recent upload. Also consider hitting that middle subscribe button if you did enjoy the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.